This is WEJF 90.3 FM, Palm Bay. Good afternoon. It's 12 noon on this Wednesday. Helping Seniors of Brevard with your host, Kerry Fink, gets underway in just a moment with his special guest, our good friend, Dr. Lee Sheldon. But first, let's talk about something that's very special. It's a tradition now. It's the 10th annual Helping Seniors Choose Your Adventure car raffle. This year, one lucky winner will choose from 7 brand new 2026 vehicles. Now, whether you love a sporty convertible, a rugged pickup truck, a family SUV, or a stylish sedan, there's something for everyone. The grand drawing will be held on Sunday, October the 25th, during our special Sunday at the Museum celebration at the American Muscle Car Museum in Melbourne. The best part, you don't have to be present to win, but every raffle ticket also serves as your admission to this fun filled afternoon at one of the nation's most remarkable private automobile collections, normally not open to the public. Most importantly, every ticket purchased helps helping seniors continue to provide free information, education, advocacy, and our senior information helpline for seniors and their families throughout Brevard County. Tickets are just $25 each or 5 for $100, and to purchase your tickets, you can call 321 473 7770. That's 321 473 7770, or visit helpingseniorscarraffle.com. Again, that's helpingseniorscarraffle.com. Thanks for supporting Helping Seniors of Brevard, and as our founder Joe Steckler always said, keep it going. Seniors need us. So good luck, and we hope to see you on Sunday, October the 25th, or better yet, behind the wheel of your brand new car. Great to hear that music on this Wednesday afternoon, and that means Helping Seniors of Brevard is on the air. Let's get things going as we introduce the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Thanks for the kind introduction. It's always good to be here on the radio, lunchtime Wednesdays, right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And if you're listening online at WEJF.net, we appreciate you tuning in from wherever they called it the World Wide Web, wherever in the world you might be tuning in from. And many of you catch this as a podcast later, and we sure do appreciate that. And people tell us they appreciate the fact that we make the podcast available simply because if they hear something valuable like what we're going to talk about today with our special guest, Dr. Lee Sheldon, noted area periodontist, you're going to be able to share this with folks. If it has some good meaning for you, you can go, hey, Fred, take a listen to this. Or sometimes you might be, maybe out in errands and you want to catch up to a part of the show that you missed. And that's why we make this available wherever you'll find a podcast, whether it be Apple, iTunes, or the Amazon Music or Spotify or any of them. You'll find Helping Seniors Radio. And by the way, we do the same with our TV programs too. There's a podcast for those. So just make sure wherever you look for podcasts, look for Helping Seniors of Brevard. We're 100% local to Brevard charity in operation for 15 years. And we were founded by Joe Steckler, the guy who got the Brevard Alzheimer's rolling. And both John and Dr. Sheldon, our guest today, helped Joe in those days. And now for 15 years, we've been on the watch with Helping Seniors, and the need for what we do only gets greater, Dr. Sheldon.
There's no doubt about that, Kerry, because we're all getting older and we are the baby boomer generation and we still dominate. And if we dominate, we also have more needs. And, there are so many things that unfortunately happen to us, and we're finding out more and more of those things that do happen to us, and they don't really happen. A lot of it happens to us because we don't know. And I think when we set up Helping Seniors of Brevard, it was with the idea that we can educate and we can do it simply, and we can have a hotline where if you have questions, you can get objective answers and know that the answers are going to be correct. We run events in order to be able to help seniors navigate through life. If you make a mistake, it might take 4 times as much time to correct the mistake as it would if you just prevented the mistake. And that's why the number of programs that we have are dedicated to prevention. Um, you know, we also teach you how to cook, and these days and you've heard us talk about this on the radio about processed foods and how bad it is for you. Talk about prevention. If you learn how to use a fry pan, if you've never done it before, if you learn how to boil water, if you've never done it before, there are amazing things that you can do easily, simply, and healthfully. Maybe to keep you from needing a guy like me. You never can tell.
That's a perfect tie-in because one of the things I wanted to share was literally tomorrow, talking about Thursday the 13th, I would call her our staff chef, although that would be demeaning because she's really our executive chef, and she's really everybody's executive chef because her company is called Chefs for Seniors. Her name is Chef Jillian Zabris, and she does a program right there at our Senior Resource Center every other month called Nourish Your Spirit Cooking Class. And Dr. Sheldon, it's wonderful that you were just bringing this up because literally this is tomorrow from 11 to 12:30 p.m. So you do have to RSVP because they got to know how many of each thing to prepare, because it's not only will Jillian teach you how to cook something, but we also get to have lunch there too. So you want to call Nancy or one of our volunteers at 321-473-7770 and tell them you're in for lunch tomorrow. Nourish Your Spirit Cooking Class, 321-473-7770. And literally tomorrow, the topic, Dr. Sheldon, is she wants to focus in on a month of wellness and immunity building recipes. How about that?
Well, I didn't even know that we were going to talk about that. But you're right. I mean, the body. we've just been going through whatever we went through with more of what occurred during COVID, and we neglect to talk about the body's immunity, the body's ability to fight disease. And imagine if you eat the right things, your body does a lot to recognize what the bad thing is and to neutralize that so you don't get sick. So, boy, this all ties in together well.
Yeah, it really does. And what I love to explain about Chef Jillian is if you come to our office, we don't really have a kitchen in our office, but what she does, and this is why this is so perfect for people who come out, and one of the reasons they like to come out is because normally if you're watching a cooking show, they're in this multi-million-dollar kitchen with this super $20,000 freezer and this really high-end gas stove, and they can control every variable perfectly, and they're going to show you how to cook at home. And if you're like us, you just have an electric burner kind of thing, and you're doing that. Well, what I love about how Chef Jillian does this is she literally pulls out one of those 6-foot folding tables, maybe puts a nice tablecloth on it, but then plops a burner on top and maybe a blender or a couple other very, very common things that you'll have at your house. And then she'll go through the process of showing that this is really all it takes to cook something that is not only tasty, because her stuff is amazingly tasty, but also is going to be exactly what the doctor asked you to do the last time you were in there. And he or she said, you need to do this or this or this. And this is the kind of diet, especially when we're talking about immunity building recipes, Dr. Sheldon.
Yeah, you're right. And the immunity recipes are going to come from fresh foods, and that's what Chef Jillian is going to show you. How to use fresh foods. That doesn't mean that they all have to be fresh. I mean, sometimes if you get frozen, I'm talking about the frozen vegetable or the frozen meat, but not the frozen processed thing. That we've got fruits and vegetables that are picked at their peak of ripeness. They're frozen right away, and that can make things even a little bit more convenient. So you're getting the right type of vegetable. All you have to do is cut open the bag, you put it in, you add Chef Jillian's spices, which are very easy to buy and to apply, and all of a sudden you got something tasty, and you say, I didn't know I could do that. For the males in the audience, if you will. Now, in our house, I'm the cooker. I'm the chef, or no, I'm the chef. I'm not the chef. I'm the cook. Um, but there are a lot of people who depended upon the other spouse to be able to cook, or as we get older, we're saying, "Oh, I don't have time for that because I'm thinking about how my mother used to prepare something, and it used to take her 2 hours, and I don't want to take the time to do that anymore." No, what Chef Jillian will show you, and it's right with just a simple burner, what you can do in order to be able to make things easy and taste good and help you heal. Remember, the title of our lectures have been lately, "The Body Wants to Heal." Well, this is one of the ways that the body can heal, by giving the body the nutrients that it needs, and the body figures out what to do with it, and all of a sudden you're feeling better.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing. So again, we are literally talking about tomorrow at 11. This is presented by our friends at Senior Helpers of Melbourne. So you get Ellen Jones, who those two, they actually almost end up doing, without meaning to, kind of an Abbott Costello routine, because they just play off of each other well. She's brilliant. She knows all about health care and home care and helping you get set up the right way with that. And of course, Chef Jillian is our resident expert, who is just, she's like our go-to every time somebody mentions the word food. We're calling Chef Jillian, can you help us out? And she's always kind and willing. So this is called Nourish Your Spirit. It takes place on Thursday the 13th, which is tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 12:30. So please call us and join us. That number is 321-473-7770. We're going to jump into our topic for today, which is don't blame age for loose teeth. But I want to give you just real quickly a couple more dates that I want to make sure you have on your calendar for this month. Friday, continuing our little healthy diatribe, if you will, we do Walk with the Doc. That happens at 9 a.m. at the Merritt Square Mall. That's together with our friends at AARP and Lydia Rivera, who she's in charge of the program kind of all through Central Florida. She comes over from Kissimmee to lead our walk and will be helping us walk around the mall. And again, as I tell people, the two things the doctor is most likely to say on your next visit is, one, you should eat more healthy. And the number, well, it may not necessarily be in this order, but the other thing they're definitely going to say is you need to get out and move more and keep all your good body parts moving. And so that's exactly what Walk with a Doc does, is really become a social club. ARP is there in force. They have some great door prizes, snacks and things. But the main point is we get to walk together under air or under cover if it were to be happening to be raining. And we everybody kind of moves at their own pace. There's a little bit of a health lecture that for five minutes or so at the beginning, they help us stretch out, and then everybody goes at their own pace. And if you want to run a 5K, knock yourself out. If you just want to walk around one time, that's fine. If you want to walk around a half time, that's fine. We've had people out there literally with their rollators, with their canes, but they are moving at whatever pace they can do. And everything is helpful in that. But that is Friday morning, 9 a.m. And then always every second Friday, which is what the 14th again is, we do Senior Tech Talk. And our instructor is Bree Prentice. And Dr. Sheldon, I want to talk this particular session up because we are just coming off of a very, very successful event that we had last Friday at Zon Beachside. That was one of in our Scam Jam edition. It was called "What AI Is." And we originally had called it AI Scam Jam edition. And Daryl Greer, who was the head guy with ARP, he'd come in and he actually flew in from San Antonio to present. And we were talking about the fact that he goes, Kerry, he said, I don't want seniors to be afraid of AI. He said, I want them to be masters of it, because while there is a lot of danger from scammers out there, just like with anything else, there's a lot of good it's going to be able to do. And I want people to understand that. So we're going to be continuing that conversation in our Senior Tech Talk series this Friday, 1 p.m. Bree Prentice, who was presenting on Is This AI? One of those little things where you're trying to determine, she'll show you something and then ask you to guess, was this created by AI or was this like real stuff? And trying to help you get aware of what you're seeing. But what's really cool is on this particular Friday too, we are joined by Raha Selamuthu, who is a honor student with West Shore Junior Senior High School. and she has a team of teen friends who are from the school. They call themselves Mind Care Medics, and she's getting involved in the helping seniors world of helping us learn technology. And I asked her, I said, "Why is this important for you? Your goal in life is to become a surgeon, and that's you're going to be off to medical school in another year, and you're going to be that's the path that you really want to pursue. Why is this important for you to help seniors learn about technology?" And I loved her answer. She's from India, and she said, "My grandmother is in India, and we have to tell her or help her, and a lot of my friends in school, we have to help them learn how to use the technology, or we won't be able to stay in touch." And she says, "It's really given me a passion for working with older adults and helping them make sure that they can maximize the technology." And Dr. Sheldon, I'm just excited about that because this is something that we've talked about for years in helping seniors. We love the fact that we want to get the generations working together to solve problems. And this is a great thing because usually when you go to the doctor's office and say, "Oh, check in for your appointment on the app," and then you say, "I don't know how to do that." They say, "Go home and ask your 9-year-old granddaughter. She'll be able to lead you through it." Well, this is better because this is sort of a teach a person to fish kind of moment. Because if Raha and Bree Prentice and and Raha's friends and Mind Care Medics can help us do that, then we're equipped to lead the charge going forward, Dr. Sheldon.
Yeah, it is, and the technology, once you learn it, and it doesn't take much to learn it, is so much simpler, so much easier. But let me tell you, you weren't planning on this, Kerry, but I'm going to offer you something for technology that I learned from a retired gastroenterologist, and he still lectures. And when I'm seeing patients, I'm looking for the latest in research, but so can you, listener. And so let me give you the name of an app that I learned about over the weekend, and I applied it to a patient just yesterday. If you go to the App Store and you get Open Evidence, or you can go online, openevidence.com probably, and you can ask a question about something that is going on, and you'll immediately get not only a summary of the answer, but the medical article that it pertains to. I gotta tell you, this, there was other AIs that I was using before. This one is better. And so you just go to Open Evidence. That's all it is. And you can just talk to your phone, and the phone will give you an answer and then cite the medical literature that supports it.
Well, that's what I said. It's really kind of the golden age for us here. So that was what really the point that we kept hammering through at Scam Jam last time, even though it was AI edition, following Daryl Greer's advice. Like I said, the head guy with Oates, and which is what they called Older Americans Technology Services, which is a thing that ARP does to help us with technology. But that was his whole point. He said, "I don't want people to be afraid of AI. I said, I want them to be just as cautious as they would be with anything else, because certainly the scammers out there." But he said, "I want them to see it's kind of like a golden future ahead because of what it's going to be able to do in terms of helping us maximize our health and everything." And Open Evidence, Dr. Sheldon, sure sounds like one of those tools that's right for that.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot simpler for me because I was relying on some of the traditional tools, which can be, one of them was less accurate, the other one was more accurate, and this one is even better than the more accurate one. So
Okay.
yeah, things keep on getting better and better and better. And the way we found out about it, and the way I found out about it, was talk to a medical professional who was using it. So yeah, it is getting better and better. But when it gets better and better, there's also the negative part of it, and that's part of the Scam Jam, is to make sure that you understand what's positive and what's negative and what you can rely upon, and more importantly, maybe what you can't, so you're not fooled. And that's what we have that in life. We had that before we had AI. We have that now with AI. We have to become our own filters so we understand what we can use, what we can't use, what's reliable, what's not, and that's part of what we do.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so again, that's Friday, 1 p.m. at the office. And again, as we mentioned, the Walk with the Doc is 9 a.m. Merritt Square Mall. Those are Friday. And then we talked about Thursday, literally tomorrow, is the lunch program, Nourish Your Spirit cooking class with Chef Jillian and Ellen Jones with Seniors Helpers. So, with that, I have some other dates that I'm going to share with you, but we're going to talk about those later in the program because there is a bunch of stuff going on that is all good in August. But I really did want us to sort of dive into this conversation. Don't blame age for loose teeth. And Dr. Sheldon, this is going to be the subject of your article that's coming up in the September edition, if I'm not correct, if I'm not missing it, for the what we publish in the Center of Senior Scene magazine. But I wanted us to talk about this because so often we assume as we age, the only route is downhill, that everything is just going to fall apart. And it's not necessarily have to be the case.
Yeah,
And I
man,
guess that's the point of this.
you're right, man. There are an awful lot of assumptions that are made, Carrie, and one of those assumptions are, well, my teeth are getting loose, and that's what happens when I get older. And the answer is no. No, I've never approached it this way, but given the fact that I heard this from a patient, I said, "Gee, I better write an article about this." Because it isn't to assumed at all. The only thing that happens when you have a disease, which periodontal disease is that if the disease has longer to work before it's solved or before it's interfered with, then the longer it has to work, the more damage is going to occur. I don't care whether it's your kidney or whether it's your heart or whether it's your leg or whether it's your ankle or whether it's your thumb, whatever it is. If there's more disease that occurs and there's something you could do to mitigate the disease at that point, but you don't, then it's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's in your mouth. It ends up being loose teeth or too much tooth decay, whatever it is. But in this case, we're going to talk about loose teeth. And in fact, that doesn't occur. And there's so many patients who I've seen over the years. I just lectured, and we'll talk about. I lectured up outside of Washington D.C. A couple of weeks ago, and so many assumptions that occur that we need to kind of say, no, that's not really true. And I was able to talk about a patient who had loose teeth, who had been seen professionally for many years, and they kept on getting looser and looser and looser. And then we did the right thing, and the patient came back to me and said, you know what? My teeth are tighter. And he'd lost 80 or 90% of the bone support for some of those teeth, and the teeth are tighter. Teeth, the body can. That was the beginning of this, as we were talking about the events that are coming up with helping seniors. The body knows how to heal as long as we give it the right tools to do so. So no, teeth do not get loose. They don't get loose. Well, they will get loose yes, they do get loose. They will get loose to untreated or not properly treated periodontal disease. But for the most part, periodontal disease, no matter at what stage, including this patient that I lectured on up in DC, if you interfere with the problem that is occurring, then you say, all right, body, I'm going to do the right things for you. Then the body says, I'm going to snuggle back up to these teeth, and the teeth are going to be tighter as a result.
You know, I was thinking about this because I know you and I have talked about this before. As a child, being raised up and watching television, all the commercials told you that a good day at the dentist was that they told you you only had one cavity, or better yet, you had no cavities. And nobody really talked to us about gum health. And literally, when I met you all those years ago, as Joe was helping seniors going, and you started to, you really have always been on the bandwagon of like, let's get your mouth healthy. What a difference that makes. But I don't know that most of us walk around knowing that would lead to this question, why are my teeth old? Why are my teeth loose? It's just, well, it's just because I'm old. And we walk around with stuff like that because nobody ever trained us differently, I guess.
Yeah, it's true, because we carry this bacterial load that goes below the gum line, and we'll talk about why this bacterial load is so important. We'll talk about the hard accumulations of deposits that are called calculus. The old word was tartar. It's below the gum line. It's very difficult once it occurs to remove it, and it takes special training and special technology to do so. We can talk about advanced types of bacteria, which we can now identify through a saliva test so that we can prescribe the right antibiotic to stop the bone loss from occurring. So there are a lot of things that are there, and actually newer things that I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time 26 years ago to discover a camera that goes below the gum line so we could see what the heck we were doing below the gum line. And I'll tell you, that made all the difference in the world. The conference I was speaking at was a conference of dental hygienists. It was called RDH Under One Roof. It's the largest dental hygienist convention in the country. And I was talking about how important hygienists have been to our patients in our practice and why, and what our hygienists did that may not be commonly available. But you know what? It's becoming more and more commonly available. And at my tender young age of whatever it is, my goal is to make sure that this technology and the training necessary to use that technology is exported to every hygienist in the country so that, in fact, we can get the same results all over the country that we've been fortunate enough to get in Melbourne, Florida, and in a few hundred practices around the country. But given the fact that there's 200,000 dentists in this country approximately, and 200,000 hygienists in this country, if we're talking about a few hundred centers, that's not a lot. We've got to be able to do better than that. And so, I write, I lecture, I teach, and I'll tell you, I have a ball doing it at this point. It's so much fun. Yeah, we've got to get that message out there, and that's part of what we're doing today. We're going to talk about if you have loose teeth, no, don't give up on them. Just find the right person to help you, and perhaps you can do a lot better than extracting your teeth and putting in dentures. And actually, you can do it less expensively by saving the teeth.
Yeah, I know we're moving towards the time where we're going to take a mid-show break and we're going to come back and really dive into this. But I was thinking about the fact that you actually part of your practice name, Dr. Sheldon and Furtado, is actually Solid Bite, because for years, if people didn't take care of their teeth, you are like the top person that people can go to for implants and things like that. And that has always been one of your hallmarks, is you want to help people be able to enjoy their food again and chew properly and get into a situation where they can do it. But all the much better if we can save the teeth to start with, I'm thinking.
It is. I mean, there's always been the oh, you're a non-surgical guy or you're a surgical guy, and that's the way periodontists used to be divided into. I broke the rules by becoming a surgical guy who recommends non-surgical treatment for periodontal disease. So we are both. Yes, we're very proud of the dental implant practice that we have. But if you can avoid needing our dental implants, let's do that first. Let's approach it that way. So we can do that. We can do appropriate evaluations. We're in a pretty good position with the 4 doctors that we have in our practice now, and I'm so proud to be associated with that practice. Still, it's not my practice anymore, but it still is my practice. To be able to work with patients, to be able to help them decide what's predictable, what's going to work, and fit that within the budget that you have in order to be able to enjoy life and enjoy what Chef Jillian is going to teach you how to cook.
It sounds like a good place. So, Dr. Lee Sheldon, we're going to continue this conversation about don't blame age for loose teeth and give you some real practical tips on what you can do about it, too, as we come into the second half of Helping Seniors. Stay with us.
And you're listening to the Wednesday edition of Helping Seniors of Brevard with your host, Kerry Fink, and his special guest, our good friend, Dr. Lee Sheldon. But first, we want to talk to you about a special event coming up. It's one of our favorite traditions, and that's the 10th annual Helping Seniors Choose Your Adventure car raffle. Well, this year, one lucky winner will choose from 7 brand new 2026 vehicles, and whether you like a sporty convertible, a rugged pickup, a family SUV, or a stylish sedan, there's something for everyone. Now, the grand drawing will be held on Sunday, October the 25th, during our special Sunday at the Museum celebration at the American Muscle Car Museum in Melbourne. The best part, you don't have to be present to win, but every raffle ticket that you purchase also serves as your admission to this fun filled afternoon at one of the nation's most remarkable private automobile collections, normally not open to the public. Most importantly, every ticket purchase helps helping seniors continue to provide free information, education, advocacy, and our senior information helpline for seniors and their families throughout Brevard County. Tickets are just $25 each or 5 for $100. And to purchase your tickets, simply call 321 473 7770. Again, that's 321 473 7770. Or you can go online, helpingseniorscarraffle.com. Again, that's helpingseniorscarraffle.com. Thanks for supporting Helping Seniors of Brevard, and as our founder, Joe Steckler, always said, keep it going. Seniors need us. Well, good luck, and we hope to see you on October the 25th, or better yet, behind the wheel of your brand new car. Hey, Kerry Fink is standing by. He's the host of Helping Seniors of Brevard, also the executive director of the organization. I always like to call it our BOGO. And we also have our good friend as a guest today, Dr. Lee Sheldon. So, Kerry Fink, if you're ready, let's go for the second half of today's show.
Yeah, thanks, John Harper. We're having a great conversation about don't blame age for loose teeth. And Dr. Sheldon, welcome back. Dr. Sheldon, as you know, is a longtime friend of the Helping Seniors organization. He volunteers his time on our board of directors and helps us with all things helping seniors. But he's really been a force in the community for, I would say, the advocate for best mouth health, even though you're like the leading provider of top quality, top notch implants. You're the one that is able to do the perfect smile and things like that. And you help people with cosmetic dentistry, but your real passion and love is helping people save teeth, I think.
It's interesting. It happened because I had a talented hygienist, Rebecca Caudill, who mastered a technology that was in its infancy. And all of a sudden, I become famous for non-surgical periodontal treatment. And I don't even know how to use the device that our hygienists use in order to be able to get to the calculus below the gum line. And I'm now considered the senior guy in the United States who teaches this stuff. So it's amazing how life works. But I'm very proud of my hygienists because they are able to accomplish miracles every single day, Kerry.
Yeah, I'm smiling because literally the next question I want to talk about was calculus, and this was never a favorite subject of mine in college. Apparently, it's not a good word when it comes to mouth health either. But
No,
let's,
it is.
let's start talking about calculus.
All right, let's talk about calculus. So the old story is you've got plaque, and plaque is this soft stuff. It's the stuff that you can remove with brush and floss. Okay, you remove that, you don't get into a situation where you get to somebody like me. But if it stays there for a long period of time, ultimately it creeps below the gum line. It hardens into something called calculus. So plaque hardens into something called calculus. It's the plaque that starts the disease. It's the calculus that continues the disease. And the calculus grips into the root. In other words, not only grips into the root, it starts to drill little tiny indentations into the root to literally grab onto the root surface, making it nearly impossible for hygienists to remove that stuff. It stays there for a long period of time. It accumulates bacteria around it, and now with more recent research, we find out that even if it's sterile calculus, the body senses it and says, I don't want to have anything to do with this, and it starts to melt the bone support away from the tooth. So you melt away enough bone support for the tooth, it keeps on going and going and going. You won't notice it until the tooth finally gets so loose you say, oh, now I'm in trouble. Now I have to get the tooth out. The reason we use a periodontal probe, and that's the probe that goes between the gum and the tooth to measure how deep your pocket is to identify first the calculus and then to identify how much damage that calculus has done to the bone support so that we can determine in terms of millimeters how much bone you have lost, and then from x-rays how much bone you have left. With those calculations, we can help you determine what the next step is. And for the most part, and we talked about that earlier before the break, even if you have 90% bone loss, it's not the end of the world. We had one case with over 100% bone loss. We can reverse that and help the teeth stay in the mouth. So it's just a matter of, number one, identifying the problem, which is the periodontal pocket, the amount of bone loss that's occurred, getting into the area where that calculus is and seeing it with a camera that's designed to go into the periodontal pocket, and we're looking on the screen to see that calculus, and then remove that calculus, and all sorts of amazing things happen.
Well, and I guess that's probably the challenge, right? Is because if it's kind of like I was thinking, even when you're talking about this before the break, I was like, I keep thinking like they always tell us about an iceberg, right? They say you see the tip of it, but then it's got really the bulk of it is under the water where you can't see it. And I'm kind of imagining as you're describing this that this is kind of the problem that we have is like much of this is below the gum line, so we're not seeing it, which then by definition would make it even more difficult for the person cleaning your teeth to be able to get in there and do it. And that's why maybe we aren't as attentive to this as we need to be. And especially it seems like the deeper the pocket, the more complicated it would be to get in there to work it.
It's true that dental hygienists are taught to use a sharp explorer, a sharp instrument, to determine how smooth the root surface is. And if calculus will cause a rough root surface. And if you smooth the calculus off, or if you smooth the root off, then you take that sharp instrument. Now you feel a smooth root. And hygienists have been taught that if you feel a smooth root, then in fact the calculus is off. A number of experiments have been done to show that, in fact, that's not the case. And that's where the departure is, Kerry. The departure is that hygienists are taught that a smooth root means a clean root, when in fact all you have is smooth calculus, which continues to cause damage. So hygienists are taught to identify calculus by feel. And what we're saying, and now with 25 plus years, 26 years of experience, no, you have to see it to get it out. A study was done by somebody who I originally trained me years and years ago, Roger Stambaugh. And Roger Stambaugh did an experiment where he asked hygienists to scale teeth, clean teeth, as well as they possibly could, on teeth that were going to be extracted anyway for dentures. And then once the teeth were extracted, he looked at how well the hygienists were able to remove calculus. The hygienists were able to spend, or they were allowed to spend, as much time as they wanted on the teeth. There was no limit. I can't imagine being the patient. No limit, although the patient was numb, likely numb. I'm actually not sure of that. And then extracted the teeth. And the hygienist spent 25 minutes or more per tooth.
Wow.
Getting the tooth as clean as they possibly could. Then they extracted the teeth, looked at the teeth, and saw how well the calculus was removed. And they found out that the average removal of calculus below the gum line was 3.73 millimeters. And occasionally they found a clean tooth that was clean 4 millimeters below the gum line. But beyond that, it wasn't clean at all. Well, when we have periodontal pockets that are measure 5, 7, 8, 9, well, that essentially shows us that we're not getting the roots clean by feel. We're not doing that. And so the disease is perpetuated. It's continuing, even though the hygienist is doing the best job that he or she, and by the way, they're male hygienists now, that he or she can, trying to do everything they can with what they've been taught. But this missing piece of technology, this scope, this camera, which allows the hygienist to be able to see, makes all the difference in the world in getting that calculus clean below that 4 millimeter mark. And that's what makes the difference in many of these cases. The hygienist being able to actually get the root totally clean, so then the body wants to heal.
I remember scope kind of thing. And, I'm sort of twisting around trying to not get in the hygienist way, but I'm kind of curious to see too. And every once in a while, she'll point out, she said, no, this is what I'm going after right here. And it's a whole different thing. I guess it's like the difference between kind of like flying blind and when you can actually see what you're trying to get at. And it must make all the difference in the world. So I guess my question is, how come more dentist offices, because I'd never heard of such a thing as a perioscope until I started coming to your office.
Yeah, it's true, and I think I think there are a couple of things. Number one, if it's not taught in the hygiene schools, and it's not, and then you graduate with that training. That's number one. Number two, the people who are most attuned to treating periodontal disease in the general dentist's office is the hygienist, as the hygienist is taught what she or he is taught. The number three thing is that it takes some money in order to be able to buy this technology. And number four, it takes time to be able to learn this technology in order to be able to use this correctly. But as with anything, when you're trying to do things right, and you mentioned flying, and I think it's a good analogy. The better trained you are, the more effective you can be, the more accurate you're going to be, the higher you can fly, the more passengers you can take, you're going to do a better job. I think at this point, we've got to get through the barrier of having to pay for the scope. And then the next barrier is learning how to use the scope. And there are people who are training on how to do that. But when it's not commonly done, then it's all right. Well, do I have to learn this? Do I have to do it? I never even heard of this before. And given the fact that we've been doing this for over 25 years, we still haven't gotten the message out there. We have not been as good as we can to get the message out there and to get the need there. I think with enough of us speaking about this, and there are 4 or 5 of us, maybe more than that now, who are speaking about this around the country. We're hoping to get the message out first to the profession and then later on to patients that, in fact, this can be done and it can be done predictably. Calculus removal is something that can be accomplished, and we can save a lot more teeth. I think also we're in an era now where we're starting to question the value of dental implants. It doesn't mean the dental implants aren't good. They are. They're great. But do we need to apply a dental implant when we can save a tooth? And the answer is, at the amount of money that it costs for us to do one dental implant, we can literally save an entire mouth of teeth. So the mechanism the wheels have to turn, and the goal is to get these wheels turning so that we can reorient the profession and reorient hygienists and reorient patients to the technology of saving teeth. I think what was so nice about this meeting that I spoke at was that we had a group of hygienists who were doing exactly that. Their goal was to elevate themselves so they're in a better position to prevent, and in order to treat, in order to be able to help patients so they don't need people like me, dentists. And that's what their goal is. And, we've done it in our practice in Melbourne, Florida. There are hundreds of practices have done it throughout the country. We just have to just keep on going and going and going. We're going to get there.
Well, I was thinking 2 things. Well, number one, it's great that you are educating the profession about this, because we've done so many shows, because again, like I said, you guys are so well known for being the place to go if you want to get that perfect smile, that perfect bite, the solid bite, I think, and you're so adept at finding solutions for people when they come in and they don't have the teeth and they need to do something so that they can have some quality of life again. We have done programs we've talked about literally how it's improved, their social lives and things like that. And yet at the same time, you've also been very much the proponent, like the implant is not always the right answer. In fact, we have a TV show that we air almost monthly on Space Coast Government TV. It's also available on our YouTube channel. Is called Are Too Many Teeth Being Extracted? And you're actually really a proponent of, like, let's get your mouth right so your mouth can heal itself. And that's kind of, I guess, the point behind don't blame age for loose teeth. And I guess one of the questions that I want, we're so fortunate that we live here in Melbourne on the Space Coast, where we have access to your office and somebody that's willing to help us find a solution. Because I was just thinking, like, when you look at what the cost is of really a proper, I guess, full mouth of implants to make everything right like that, or even maybe if you're on a budget and you're just talking about, maybe I just have to try to figure out dentures or something like that. Wow, aren't we so much farther ahead if we can just save our natural teeth and it doesn't cost nearly that to if we can get this right? Am I saying that right?
And that's absolutely true. Yeah, it is cheaper to do it, and the results are better. Just to give some information, and we've mentioned this on other shows, but it's appropriate for this show too. If a patient loses teeth due to periodontal disease, then the possibility of getting periodontal disease around a dental implant is magnified. In other words, people who have periodontal disease, who lose their teeth and we put in dental implants, they're more prone to getting periodontal disease around the dental implant as well. And I've got to tell you, having done this, and you can talk to periodontists all over the country, and we'll be in unison here, it's a lot easier to treat periodontal disease around a tooth than it is to treat periodontal disease around a dental implant. So, take the opportunity. Yes, we can talk about the expense factor. Certainly, the price of one implant can save a mouthful of teeth if you qualify for that. Get the diagnosis and get the possibilities, the options on the table first before you start making decisions on treatment. We talk about that a lot here, is because we follow Joe's Steckler principles is to get your ducks in a row, and getting your ducks in a row means you get the plan done first before you treat. That's so important. So we've got to look, and that's why we spend 2 hours with our new patients. You've got to look. You've got to be able to discuss the possibilities. You just don't talk about, here's the immediate need. Here's what we need to do for this tooth, because that may not be appropriate for this tooth when there's 27 others that need to be treated. We've got to look at the entire picture first before we make that first decision. For a lot of reasons, budget being the most important. If you only have a certain amount of money to spend, then it may not be worthwhile saving that one tooth when the 27 others are going bad. So we've got to be able to discuss that, get that all out on the table so that you make the appropriate decision at the beginning before you start embarking in dental treatment. Dental treatment is expensive, but you and I have talked about this before. The most expensive treatment is the treatment that has to be redone, and that's why we spend so much time at the beginning, so we're less likely to have to redo something because maybe the decision that we made at the beginning may not have been the best one for you.
Well, this is really tying into, I think I know the answer to this. Can from our conversation today, can loose teeth actually tighten up again? And I think the answer is yes, if we're attacking kind of, if you will, excuse the expression, the root cause and getting at that calculus. Am I saying that right?
Oh, I love root cause. Thank you very much. That's so good.
Yeah, I'm the first person that ever came up with that, right?
But let me throw something in that we haven't talked about much.
Uh-huh.
There are certain bacteria that are aggressive, or the body responds to the bacteria aggressively, that don't have calculus at all. I'm throwing one into you now, Kerry. I'm throwing something in that's new. That there's aggressive bacteria that will respond to an antibiotic.
Ah.
And if we identify those bacteria first And if you happen to fall into that category of having aggressive disease, which may be up to 10% of the people in this in the senior population, that
Wow.
we identify the bacteria, we prescribe the right antibiotic, and then even if you don't have calculus, we'll see teeth tighten up. So it does require the identification and removal of calculus, yes, but there are a significant number of people who don't have calculus who have this aggressive bacteria, and we give up on the teeth because they're saying, well, they're getting loose, there's nothing we can do about it. And the answer is, let's identify the bacteria first. In our practice, we have you spit in a cup and send it out to a laboratory in Minnesota to identify whether you have that bacteria or not, then prescribe the antibiotic, then get the root surfaces clean, and the bone can come back. And we've got a number of cases that we talk about that I lecture on to show how this has been done, including the one that I lectured on in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, it is a matter of diagnosis first, and then deciding what the appropriate treatment is. And all of a sudden, my teeth are tighter, which is what this patient said.
Yeah. Well, this is a good place for us to talk about a program that you have done for a number of years, really helps us as a charity helping seniors. But you actually help a lot of charities in the area through this program called Solid Bite Gives Back. And it's a great way that you, as the dental professional, get the information you need to make the best diagnosis and treatment plan for somebody coming in. And at the same time, it's very, very cost effective for the person coming in. And then you actually turn around and donate that money directly into the charity. Talk about Solid Bite Gives Back.
Solid Bite Gives Back is a program that we've put in a number of years ago, because it first started because if I need all the information that I need, and I do, I need full mouth x-rays, I need a CT scan, and I need time with the patient to look at 25 aspects of your mouth before I can make a decision on what's best for you. And all four of us do our examinations essentially the same way. I need that time, and I need that technology, and I need that information in order to be able to help you make this plan, get your ducks in a row plan done correctly. And ordinarily that would be very expensive to spend that time, and people would say, no, I can't afford to do that. So what we did instead was to develop this Solid Bite Gives Back, where you donate $50 or more to one of the 6 charities in our campaign, and Helping Seniors of Brevard is a prominent charity in that campaign. You write a check or you put down a card for that particular charity for $50 or more, and I'll emphasize or more for Helping Seniors, and you get the entire examination at no charge. And that's what we've done. And now we've accumulated, now it's gone over. I haven't told you this yet. This year we went over $300,000 in charitable
Wow.
contributions
Wow.
using this. So it's good for the charities. It's good for Helping Seniors of Brevard. It's good for you as a patient. It's good for us because we don't have to say, well, now I need a CAT scan. Now I need a full mouth series of x-rays. Now I need this. Now I need that. No, here's what we need in order to be able to get the results or get the information that we need in order to be able to help you make the decision. It allows us to spend the 2 hours with correct information. It also allows us to spend the 2 hours so you can ask your questions and talk about different alternatives. And of course, the nice thing about a Solid Bite Gives Back is you have 4 doctors in a complex case. We get together every Tuesday at 4 p.m. and we talk about what's going on in somebody's mouth, and you're getting 4 separate opinions rather than just one. So we accumulate the data, and if it's a complex case, you are the topic of our meeting on Tuesday at 4 p.m., where we're talking about you to give different alternatives and other suggestions that the first doctor may not have come up with. So it's great for the patient. It's great for us. It's great for the charities, and it gives an opportunity for full evaluation and treatment alternatives that we feel are correct at the beginning, so that you're making the best decision for yourself.
So important. I'm going to ask everybody to grab something to jot your number down with, because I want them to have that information. But also, I want you to keep that notepad handy, because I'm going to close out the program with a couple more events that I want you to consider. So you may want to jot some dates down. But let's start with taking the number down. If somebody says, I want to find out more about Solid Bite Gives Back, you encouraged me to have you take a look at my gum health, and maybe I can tighten my teeth up. How do we start that process?
Well, we get a couple of good ways of doing it. One is the traditional phone call, 321-259-8000, and just mention Solid Bite Gives Back. You heard this on the radio, then they'll know exactly what to do. Whoever answers the phone knows that. The other, if you want to make an appointment online, go to solidbite.com and you can make an appointment there, and then we'll be in touch with you later on to be able to talk about that appointment a little bit more. But if you're listening to this at night, you happen to be listening to this on YouTube, whatever that is, then just go to solidbite.com right now. You have the opportunity of making an appointment online.
Yes. And if you need help learning how to do that, join us for our Senior Tech Talk, which comes up Friday. That was a great segue for that. So, thanks, Dr. Sheldon, for another great edition. Let me just hit real quick a couple of dates coming up. We already talked about tomorrow, Nourish Your Spirit. That's the lunch cooking class with Chef Jillian. That's at 11 a.m. You do need to RSVP. So, I'm going to give you that number again, 321-473-7770. Then Friday, Walk with a Doc, 9 a.m., Merritt Square Mall. And then 1 p.m. is our Senior Tech Talk right back at our Senior Resource Center. A couple other dates. The following week, I'd like for you to look at Wednesday morning on your calendar. Join us for, we call it Java with Joe, but it's basically Coffee with a Cop at 10 a.m. right there at the center. Rhodes Law Firm helps us make that possible, and Dunkin' Donuts provides the coffee and donut fuel for this. And Joe Downs from the Brevard County Sheriff's Department, great friend of seniors, is always there, and it's a fun conversation. And next Wednesday, following that, we're doing something with a friend of ours called Peter Indorf, who is a jewelry designer and a jewelry expert. It's called Trash or Treasure at the Resource Center. And this is your opportunity to collect those items you have at home. It's sort of like that traveling roadshow thing that you may have seen on public television from time to time, where they have some items and people decide if it's trash or treasure. Well, that's the point. You have to do this by appointment because otherwise we'll have people backed up all day. But if you'll call Nancy at 321-473-7770, there are appointment slots, and you'll bring in your stuff. And it's not only Peter, it's actually 3 different guys. So whether it's things like maybe you have some coins or jewelry or things like that, and you've always wondered, is this worth collectibles, or another thing that they're kind of experts at. So we want you to take a look at all that. That is things that are happening next Wednesday at the Senior Resource Center. Last thing is just to make sure you give us a call. We can go over all that with you at 321-473-7770. That's the time we have for our radio show today. We will see you right back here next Wednesday, same time, same channel. See you then.
You've been listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard, the show for and about seniors, their families, and friends, heard every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock, right here on 90.3 FM. Hello again, everyone. John Harper here from Helping Seniors of Brevard, and I'd like to invite you to take part in one of our favorite traditions. It's the 10th annual Helping Seniors Choose Your Adventure car raffle, and this year, one lucky winner will choose from 7 brand new 2026 vehicles. Now, whether you love a sporty convertible, a rugged pickup, a family SUV, or a stylish sedan, there's something for everyone. The grand drawing takes place on Sunday, October the 25th, during our special Sunday at the Museum celebration at the American Muscle Car Museum in Melbourne. The best part, you don't have to be present to win, but every raffle ticket that you purchase serves as an admission to the fun-filled afternoon at one of the nation's most remarkable private automobile collections, normally not open to the public. Tickets are just $25 or $5 for $100, and to purchase your tickets, call 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770, or visit helpingseniorscarraffle.com. One more time, helpingseniorscarraffle.com. And we hope to see you on Sunday, October the 25th, or better yet, behind the wheel of your brand new car.